Okay, I'll never ever get used to doing this, so please smile and nod in encouragement. I'm Caroline Hill from Creed Comms. I have my colleague Simon, and we're privileged to have Maddie from Bard with us today, who has very kindly flown in from Frankfurt this morning to be here and do this. So we owe you one, Maddie. So the three of us are here to talk to you about hopefully, how to do this, to provide some thinking, some tips, and to show you some bits of work that we've done along the way. So there are lots of big numbers talked about when people talk about their referrals, and people are, achieving some brilliant results by doing this, investing in it and giving it some time. Some organisations that are doing it really well are reporting that they're getting 7% of their applications through their referral scheme. And a couple of organisations we work with and others globally are achieving 40% of their annual hires through their referral scheme. But some of you in the room, you might think we're doing something similar, and others you might be thinking, wow, that is just a dream in the distant future. I would love to get there. A good referral scheme can also drastically reduce the time to hire, and it's widely reported that new joiners through referrals also perform better. And there's no doubt about it that this could be your lowest cost per hire route to entry. However, as members of the network, you may have recently taken part in a survey for the in-house network, and you guys have given us some numbers and shamefully have marked yourself down quite low. Generally about 5 and a 6 out of 10 how you would rate your current performance with referrals. And 70% of you make less than 20% of your hires through this route. And many of you are investing as little as $5,000 a year in marketing and bringing your referral scheme to life in the organisation. So we would say, dogs always work, don't they? Please give your ERP some love. You could get some real, huge business benefits from this. So before we talk about how to do it, we're going to cover off what are the things that might be affecting participation, the things that are stopping you, the barriers. And a lot of the time it's an internal comms marketing effort to raise awareness of the referrals, what it is, more to the point how people can go about making a referral, and really understanding what it means to them, the benefits it can bring to them as an individual, the team around them, and obviously the organisation as a whole. It might be you have low engagement and motivation in the organisation anyway, which is obviously going to deter people from making referrals and bringing new talent in for you. And then also think about the reward that you're offering. It needs to be relevant to the level of hire that you're making. We talked about exec hiring this morning. And is the process easy? Remove all the barriers and process as much out of it as you can to make it easy for somebody to make a referral. So to help along the way, we've come up with what we call impact. So for a successful referral scheme, you really need to think about the identity and the marketing. How do you get people involved and taking part? Is the reward appealing? Are they the right rewards? Should you have a big bonus at the end, or should you give micro rewards along the way? And then how are you using the success and the return from referrals to celebrate it even more, to get even more traction, and obviously using technology to make it easier. So talking about identity, a lot of people say, don't call it a scheme, don't call it a programme, it's a HR thing, who wants to be included in a programme? Lots of people use things like talent scouting, talent finders, talent search. And we'd also try and help you steer away from using the word refer a friend. Now, for some levels of roles, and for some organisations, it's warm, it's friendly, and it makes people feel comfortable that it's a refer a friend scheme. But we want to try and broaden it and open new markets and reach out a bit further than just the close friendship and peer network that people have. It's a brilliant opportunity to embed the values and remind people along the way what your values are, because you really want to get people referring others who share the same values as the organisation. And then again, it's a great opportunity to celebrate the EVP and reignite that through this version of comms for referrals. Again, you want to extend the propositions of working in your business, and this is the ideal format to do it. The identity should also help educate people about what it's like to work in the organisation and remind your existing employees why they joined, why they stay and why they perform, so they will talk positively to others in the same way. And then the majority of referrals, it's both internal and external, but internally, you can have a little bit more fun with it. Try and stretch away from the brand guidelines if nobody in marketing's in the room. And it's an internal thing, so try and give it a bit of life that, normally brand guidelines wouldn't allow you to do externally. So we've chosen, this is an organisation that we've worked with for 8 years, and when we first started working with them, we inherited this referral identity, which was big bucks for best buddies. Now, as well as it being a bit of a tongue twister, it's all about cash and it's all about friends. So, and it worked okay, but we changed that and we moved on to something a little bit more fun and broader called Matchmaker. A Matchmaker was created to help people think a bit wider about not just referring somebody like them if they worked in the call centre, another call centre employee, but to think about the other divisions and skills within the business. And then whilst that was running, the company was acquired by a global organisation and became Assurance Solutions. So New Faces has been running for nearly 2 years now, and we're due to relaunch a new one in the summer. But New Faces was a really good form of engagement. We used all their employees to get involved in the photo shoot. It was loads of fun, and this was more based around the types of behaviours that the organisation needs. So the headlines were, who do you know that's a team player? Who do you know that's X, Y, Z? So it's really just from an identity, you can see it's quite fun, it's quite informal, and Assurant are, a corporate global financial business. So when it comes to, we've done impact, identity, we're now on marketing. Ideally, you don't want this to be seen as the latest HR fad. It needs to be marketed consistently, frequently. It should be always on. It's a long-term thing. It isn't a short-term campaign that's just going to live and breathe for a couple of months and then disappear. So what we're ideally trying to do is create talent scouts. So use all the channels available to you internally, and then ideally extend it externally as well through your waiting talent pools, alumni. Do your third-party recruiters understand what it's about? Can they start helping you with that message as well? And then, is there an opportunity to fast-track referred applicants? And could you, when you open a new vacancy, go to your internal people and referred applicants before you even think about going external for hiring? So in terms of marketing, the Assurant, who we showed you New Faces earlier, we created a little video when they had their launch day. Just thought we'd share that with you.
So hi and welcome to Assurance Solutions' brand new employer referral program called New Faces. At Assurance Solutions, we recruit lots of different characters, different new faces, and we want a lot more people, a lot more friends and family to join the Assurance team. To launch the new ERP scheme, we have loads of activities, so all our employees from all different sites are joining in today. So we have competitions, we have the Army Assault course, we have an operation game which is quite fun, we have prizes for the best referral, for the most referrals, we have caricature artists on site, so doing individual caricature drawings, and we have massage therapists on site, giving everybody a head, shoulder and neck massage. Everybody's enjoying it. We have free ice cream and we have a barbecue also.
Refer a new face today and earn up to £1,000.
So, on to the P. Everybody wants to drive participation. This is kind of like the nirvana of ERPs. And we always say it's probably true of most organisations that 20% of your employees are those happy bunnies that throw themselves at anything that you do, really engaged people. And then you've probably got 20% of people who, dependent on your labour turnover, dependent upon the scepticism, dependent upon the internal advocacy, are possibly disengaged. They're the kind of people who you don't want to participate in the ERP because they'll say the wrong things about you. So that leaves us, if my maths is correct, and Caroline's checked it, so it should be, 60%. And that's the audience that we're really marketing to. That's the target audience. So in terms of driving participation up, how do we activate that 60%? And we believe there are three things that can really motivate and activate that 3%, that 20% rather, and that's micro rewards. A lot of employee referral programs, the rewards are all or nothing, as opposed to little and often. And I think if you can make that distinctive change and reward participation, as opposed to just outcome, then you're much more likely to actually encourage good behaviour. So let's think about vouchers. Let's think about vouchers that could be given for a social share or somebody who's joined your talent pool. So you don't have to give it purely for taking part. There can be a quality threshold, but let's bring forward that time to start rewarding people so that we're actually encouraging and celebrating the good behaviour. The next is to pay it fast, and this could be the most controversial thing that's said in this room. I believe, and Caroline can distance herself from this then, I believe that if you as recruiters have made the decision, or a hiring manager has made the decision to hire that person, then you should stand by that decision, and the referrer should be given 100% of the reward. You do that for recruitment consultants with one or two caveats. Why do you penalise your own people? These people are going to perform better, stay longer, and cost less. So why not motivate more people to join by paying it on day one? I think the additional participation you get will outweigh any cost of leavers. And then the final thing is to update referrers and keep them informed as to what's happening with the referrals that they make. We talk about candidate journey an awful lot as recruiters. Do we talk about referrer experience, or candidate experience rather? Do we talk about referrer experience? If these people are your talent scouts, let's look after them, let's nurture that behaviour, let's keep them informed with the process and progress that people are making that they refer. That will then, again, encourage further good behaviour. So, the A of appeal. Now, this is a piece of research that's been done by a guy called Nir Eyal. And if there's anybody that knows how to pronounce that in the room, please stand up and let me know. And he has written a book called Hooked. And Hooked is really assessing how organisations and pieces of tech drive and inspire loyalty from users. So it's the kind of techniques that Facebook and Twitter and all those kind of organizations use, and Amazon use to keep us hooked. And he talks about there being 3 central reward mechanisms in all our lives, and they're the tribe, the reward of the hunt, and the reward of the self. So the reward of the tribe is we are, as human beings, intrinsically wired to feel part of something, to feel part of the tribe. And that tribe in a workplace is our team, whether that be our company, our immediate team, or our wider team or division. So we want to feel accepted, we want to feel important, we want to feel welcomed and part of the group. And the next part is the reward of the hunt. And the reward of the hunt is we're also wired, unfortunately, or fortunately, to collect things, to want things for ourselves. And that's why we feed ourselves. And then the final thing is the reward of the self. And the reward of the self is more about stimulation. Think, Maslow was mentioned earlier, think self-actualization for this part. And quite often, employee referral programs, when we look at their reward mechanisms, concentrate an awful lot on the hunt. Hire somebody and we'll give you some cash. Without actually thinking about, okay, hire somebody and you're making a contribution to the organization, so how can we appeal to more of those things? So we would say, how much money is enough? Because that's a question we often get. And in the survey that we did with you guys, or hopefully most of you guys in the room participated. If not, I'm sure we'll put an advert out there and we can get more people to participate. The most common reward range was £501 to £750. Big measure. What we would say is obviously it's got to be commensurate with the value of that person. To the organisation. There's nothing wrong with having different levels of rewards. Everybody knows that people in the C-suite are paid more than people who aren't in the C-suite. So there's nothing wrong with having different reward levels, in our opinion. One thing to bear in mind is a bad experience that we had was we were working with a very, very large financial organisation whose chief exec took it upon himself to make us, on the HR team, double the reward with double participation. No extra participation from doubling the reward because it was already enough. So talk about how hiring people is going to help make their team and themselves more successful. How hiring the right people can augment their own experience with the organisation. Talk about how social advocacy can help them help other people find work and help them spread the good news. So this is appealing to self and tribe. Gamification. Gamifying your ERP is a great way of appealing not just to competitive natures, but actually publicising and widening the reach. And then final thing is charity hookups. So, and this is something that Bard have done particularly well. I'm not going to steal your thunder, Maddie, don't worry. And it's about looking at, okay, what if there is going to be financial bounty, as some of our colleagues would call it, then how can that be shared and how can we appeal to a more altruistic nature than purely just greed? So get the appeal right, not just in terms of money, but in terms of appealing to the right sentiment. Now then. So this is how Bard did it.
Great people are Bard's lifeblood. You do the right thing for our patients, our customers, and for our business. You help us advance lives and the delivery of healthcare. No excuses. You simply make an incredible difference. No matter what job you do at Bard, you help us deliver quality, integrity, service, and innovation. Help us find more great people like you. To reward and recognize you for helping us finding more talent, not only will we reward you with up to $5,000 when they join, we'll also donate an extra 15% to the leading charity Médecins Sans Frontières. You can also choose to donate part or all of your reward to Médecins Sans Frontières, and Bard will match the donation. Since 1971, these incredible people have been delivering emergency medical aid wherever and whenever it is needed to people affected by armed conflict, epidemics, natural disasters, and exclusion from healthcare. We're always looking for great talent for both current vacancies and to build our talent pool for future careers. And there's no one better than you to help us do it. You know Bard inside out. You know we play to win. You understand our culture and the type of people who enjoy and succeed at Bard. So help us to advance lives and the delivery of healthcare while contributing to a leading charity. Great people are our lifeblood. Who do you know that's our type? Refer someone today. Visit www.bardtalent.com.
So, having done all that hard work, let's begin to celebrate. Let's begin to use internal comms to showcase how people are participating and how people are benefiting inside and outside the organisation. So don't just show the referrer, show the referees arriving. I'm a bit of there's something called fear of missing out. I'm a bit of a JOMO. I like the joy of missing out. I'm a bit of a grump like that. But FOMO is a real powerful thing. So create a bit of ERP envy. Hold events that people who have made referrals are invited to. Do it quite publicly. Get people saying, well, why are you invited to that? Why aren't I? Create a little bit of a buzz in the organisation about how it's being done and how it's being worked well. And celebrate that with other people. That's the key to keeping it rolling and keeping it alive. And then finally, for my part, is the technology piece, which there are lots and lots of apps available and sites. But I'd say choose what's best for you because you will all have different audiences and there are lots of great salespeople out there who will try and sell you an app. You might not need an app. A responsive site might do the job. In our survey, the second highest, most popular tech used was the intranet, which is, is that really promoting that? I think we've all got, or a lot of people say they've got issues with the intranet. Interestingly enough, social share came just behind that, but paper-based systems were still there. Which is great if it works for your audience, but think about how you can make it easy. Think about how you can gamify that. Think about how you can increase participation. So the gamification there is great. You can see people gain points for certain micro rewards. That ties in people's competitiveness. It's also a great thing because it encourages social share. And on average in the UK, we all have 653 social contacts. So if you get 100 of your people to sign up to social share, then your vacancies could be in front of 63,500 people without making any effort whatsoever. So use technology, but don't overuse it. Maintain the human element as well. And we think that together, that will create a situation where you've got the impact. So I think Maddie is going to take you through exactly what happened with Bard and how that worked.
Hi everyone. I'm a little bit nervous, so bear with me. I've got notes. So let me just move on to... So what we thought would be good was that I shared with you the challenges that we faced at the start of our journey as we implemented our new ERP. So one of our biggest challenges is we're a medical device organisation. We're quite small in comparison to some of our major competitors. So we're 900 employees across 27 countries in EMEA. And we don't have the same resources or budgets as perhaps some of our biggest competitors, such as Johnson & Johnson. So whatever we came up with needed to be something that we, as a very small HR team, and who are geographically dispersed as well, could manage, could get behind, and that we could afford as well. It's always important. So I've already mentioned that we're geographically dispersed. We had a range of existing programs and policies in place, so we're quite a decentralised organisation. So lots of our different countries had taken it upon themselves to introduce something. We didn't have any alignment in terms of payment amounts, when the payment was made, or any real consideration of was it really appealing to our employees to actually refer people. We have a very strong corporate culture, but we recognise the diversity that we have in EMEA. So we always appeal to our employees to say, think globally but act locally. So we needed to be able to take that into account as well for when we actually launched the programme. Our employee base is very varied. So we're a commercial organisation in that more than 50% of our organisation in EMEA are sales representatives or work within the sales industry, within the sales division. But we also have a population who are nurses, and the different motivators in terms of why someone joins BARD and why they would recommend someone to join BARD are very different. So the programme needed to appeal to all. And we had a huge reliance on third-party suppliers. So we had a very significant cost per hire at that time when we implemented. It was about 3 years ago now. Of course, the business was always challenging us as a HR team. How could we do things differently? So this is what we did. So first of all, we ensured that we had senior stakeholder sponsorship. So one of, I think, the most important things, and we've heard it in some discussions this morning around inclusion and diversity, is that if the message starts from the top in terms of cascading down throughout the organisation about the programme or about the way we want to hire or about our culture, it gets much more momentum than if it's something that HR are trying to implement. So we engaged with our president of EMEA right from the beginning. It meant that we were signing up to very measurable metrics, and we did take a big gulp as a HR team in terms of, okay, can we really manage this? But that was the agreement in order for us to get some of the funding that we needed, obviously, to implement the programme. We already knew we were coming from a great place in terms of that 82% of our employees would recommend BARD as an employer. So what we wanted to do was obviously leverage that feeling and be able to have our employees share their pride in BARD and recommend people to work for us. We needed to have a local flavour, taking into account the diversity of our organisation. And in terms of marketing collateral, Simon and I were discussing this on Monday. It's not that we did anything super whizzy, super amazing. We had posters and we had banners. We had different events. We launched a website, which I'll show you in a minute. But the point was the energy that we as a HR team put behind it. So we're a sales organisation, and we fully believe that if a sales rep does not believe in the product that they're selling, they're not authentic when they're selling that product to the customer. So in the same way as that's the approach for our sales reps, that was the approach for us as a HR team. We were really fully behind the programme. Each of us had different reasons why it was going to work. For me personally, in Germany, we actually had quite a negative reputation in the market in terms of high turnover due to some restructuring that had happened quite a lot previously, but the medical devices market is a market where everyone talks to each other. So we all had a different reason why we wanted the programme in place. We had a huge launch at our EMEA sales conference, which was great because we were able to have 500 people from the organisation in one room. We launched with our video, which still gives me goosebumps today when I watch it. We also had Médecins Sans Frontières attend that sales conference and present as well about the work that they do, so that we felt that that could appeal to some of our employees. The video content you've seen, it combines a number of different things. The values of the organisation are in there. The fact that we're quite competitive, we really play to win as a commercial sales organisation. But we also wanted to demonstrate the fact that we were going to be making this donation to MSF, and that we had a little bit of a heart as well. And finally, we have a responsive site that our employees can easily upload CVs onto. It's not just a transactional site where employees upload CVs, it's also a site where we celebrate every month who's been hired through the referral programme. And at the end of the year, of course, share the great news about whatever donations we make to Médecins Sans Frontières. So we launched at the EMEA sales conference, but on top of that we then did a EMEA-wide launch 2 weeks later to ensure that we captured all of our office-based employees as well. And each country took a unique way of doing it. Cupcakes featured quite a lot on the day, which seemed to be attractive to our employees to at least come and talk to us about the programme, understand what we were trying to achieve, and to Simon's point, made it a little bit more fun as a programme. So we went to all of this effort, so was it really worth it, which I think is the million-dollar question, at least it certainly is for the president of EMEA at my organisation. So in 2016, we made 45% of our hires through the referral programme, and I'm not going to go into exact numbers, it's not that we just hired 10 people, so 4.5 of them were through the referral programme. We hire a significant number of employees. We recognise that actually certain parts of our organisation tend to network in a different way. So in our emerging markets business, of all the hires that they made in 2016, 70% of them came through the referral programme. We were able to make, for 2016, as you saw in the video, we make a 15% donation to MSF for every time that we hire someone as a referral, and employees can also opt to pay part of their reward and we will match it. So we were able to make a $40,000 donation to Médecins Sans Frontières. And we celebrated that success this year at our sales conference by having Médecins Sans Frontières there and presenting the cheque to them in front of everyone so that everyone sees the results of what the programme can do. And this is the number that's most important for our commercial leaders. And cost avoidance is a much debated word, at least it is in our organisation. We can't really call it a cost saving because we didn't generate any costs. But what we wanted to be able to demonstrate to an organisation that is really numbers focused, that by using this programme we've actually been able to avoid $1.6 million in terms of hiring fees, taking an average cost per hire. So there was a lot of metrics that went into being able to convince our stakeholders that this was a programme that was worthwhile. Our turnover in the hires that we have made through the referral programme over the last 3 years is 50% less than the BARD average, so there's absolutely a very clear data point that shows that people will stay longer with the organisation. Our time to fill is reduced by 30%, so we're not having to advertise in the same way, wait for applicants to come in, because our employees are already referring them much quicker. For us as a HR team, it actually sparked and cemented our focus in terms of direct resourcing. So we've really moved away from that reliance on third-party recruiters in the last 3 years. It means more work for us as a HR team internally, but we're also very proud when we can deliver the metrics at the end of the year. And finally, I mentioned at the beginning, we are a very commercially driven organisation. And what the programme has been able to do is to give us a little bit of a heart, to show our employees that we care. Our mission is about advancing lives in the delivery of healthcare. And Médecins Sans Frontières seemed like the ideal charity. They're very neutral, they're global, and it's all about delivering healthcare. So that was one of the critical things, that if you opt to partner with a charity, that you partner with someone who links into your values and your organisation and culture. I think that's it.
Thanks, Maddie. Yeah. So we have a guide. We have a number of guides called Making Life Simple, because one of our values is life's complicated enough, as well as every day is a school day. So we've got a guide. If you just want to reach out to us and ask us any questions, we can put you in touch with Maddie indirectly as well. Just email us at hello@creedcoms.co.uk, and we've got a full guide on employee referral programs. I'm not sure how much time we have for questions.
Thank you very much. Does anyone? Thank you very much, guys. That was great.